Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRFBets race of the day for Saturday, February the 23rd, race number 8 at Santa Anita. We're going 1 mile on the turf. This race for the fillies and mares, it is the Grade 2 Buena Vista Stakes. You can bet this nice Santa Anita card with a new DRFBets account, and you can double your action with DRFBets. Bet 100, get 100 at bets.drf.com. Let's meet the field of fillies and mares, getting us set to go 1 mile on the turf at Santa Anita. You can access free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with us. We'll take the field in post position order with an intriguing outsider. The number 1, Matt, Take These Chains, 12-1 on the morning line, missed a year and a half and came back off the layoff with a nice win at 1 mile at Churchill Downs. And last time out at the fairgrounds, I wonder if she just got caught up in too fast of a pace.
Yeah, it's possible. The opening fractions, they were a little bit on the hot side. Timeform US gave her a 147 for an opening pace call. And obviously she paid the price late. There is a part of me, though, that looks at it and says, those fillies and mares that she ran against down in Louisiana, they are a notch below what she's facing in California. And if she can't get over the hump there, I just have a difficult time imagining her getting over the hump here. There's also a part of me that wonders, I think she's better going shorter. I think she's better off sprinting on turf than going long.
That was a pretty live race, that Blushing KD. The winner, Bo Recall, returning to finish second. She's, of course, a Southern California export. She got an 89 buyer in her next start. The third place finisher, Dubara, came back to win a stake with an 86 buyer. Nice inside post position for Take These Chains, who could probably sit a good trip breaking from the inside. And Brad Cox is no dummy. He's chipping all the way across the country with a 12-1 shot. We've got a big formulator fact for Cox over the past 2 years with horses 4-year-olds and up off a 2 to 4 month layoff in turf routes, 10 for 30 with a $2.56 ROI. So maybe Take These Chains, who has some races on the Wayback Machine for Chad Brown, is feeling good. She's unfortunately had some problems throughout her career. The number 2 is Miss Bad Behavior, and Miss Bad Behavior is very consistent. The problem is she likes to run second. Half of her 14 starts have resulted in runner-up efforts, including her last 4.
Yeah, and it was one of those things, you know, I keep looking at her, and I think she's a really nice filly. She shows up and gives everything she's got. But I don't know why it took as long as it did for that to register with me, but I'm looking over her PPs, and I go, wait, she got a little bit of seconditis. She likes to nibble a little bit here. 9 times second or third from 14 lifetime starts. And you take a look and see she's been handled by a number of these common foes already. I think she's going to work out another good trip. I think she'll give another good account of herself. 5-1, that doesn't really do anything for me. 2
of her 3 lifetime wins have occurred in the third start of the form cycle, however, and she'll now go third off the layoff for Richard Baltas, who historically does well with the move, as we see from this formulator fact. Over the past 2 years, with horses aged 4-year-olds and up, making their third start off a layoff in graded stake turf routes at Santa Anita, that's a mouthful, 4 for 8, 6 of 8 on the board, a 432 ROI, and as Matt mentions, this filly is going to be close to the pace. I want to talk about the number 3, Zafina, who I wonder if she's just a late bloomer for trainer Jack Carava. She finished behind Vasilika, who we'll get to in a minute, in her most recent start, the Megahertz, but she was in a little bit of minor traffic, I thought, in mid-stretch, and once she dove to the rail, she finished with some interest and then galloped out very nicely.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing, too, is these last 2 runs, they were her first time going 2 turns in quite some time. It felt like those 6.5 furlong races, she would be good enough, but she wouldn't be able to get over the hump for a number of reasons. Now stretching out in distance, she has that tactical ability where she doesn't need to go to the lead. She's also not coming from 100 out of it. Look, if you're looking for kind of a stranger or a fresher face in a spot like this, maybe it is a filly like this who's 12-1.
I agree. I think they found her whole card going the mile. They tried going down the hill at 6.5. They nibbled. She seems very, very comfortable at this distance. We know who the speed's going to be, barring a disastrous break. That's the number 4, Fahan Moura, and Timeform US agrees. And whenever Fahan Moura competes, it's odds on you're going to get a red bar fast pace, because that's just the way she goes. She likes to hear her feet rattle, as she did in the Robert J. Frankel going 1 mile and an 1/8 2 starts back when she blasted to the front and didn't look back. Let's not be too hard for her for the Pegasus World Cup turf. She was in very, very tough against the boys. She showed her customary speed, and tired, they're going to have to catch her. And at 1 mile, she loves it, and at Santa Anita, she loves it even more.
Yeah, that Pegasus also was over yielding ground. Don't hold that against her at all. You brought up Santa Anita, 6 for 7 over the turf down there, and she's the kind of horse where look, I don't know that she is as good as Vasilika or some of these other girls in here, but at the end of the day, this is the kind of horse that it wouldn't stun me at all if we came back Saturday night talking or looking at the race saying Fahan Mura stole this thing on the front end. She just went out there and said, come and catch me. This is always one of a very dangerous type, a horse that can get the job done on her best day. The question now becomes, at what price do you want to take a chance?
Compelled was a two-turn stakes winner as a 2-year-old, but trainer Tom Proctor since then has raced her mostly in sprint races, including that start 2 starts back over very yielding going at Laurel, a race that seemed to go to closers. She was far back. She came with a good run. She finished second behind Fire Key, who came right back to win a stakes race at Belmont with a 95 buyer. Now, her first start of the year was washed off. I think that was a good prep for Proctor, and Proctor's done good work with limited opportunities with horses going dirt to turf second off the layoff, as we see from this formulator fact. Only 10 starters over the past 5 years, but 2 of those winners and a positive ROI. I've always liked Compelled. I'm just not sure what her best distance is.
Yeah, I don't like her at these distances. I like her going shorter. I really feel like that Las Ciennegas would have been perfect for her. 6.5 down the hill. I just feel like she's that kind of horse that you get her out to a mile, you start to stretch her a little bit. I think you get her back to those shorter distances, whether it's 6 at Laurel, 6.5 down the hill, you name it. Run her at Kentucky Downs, run her all over the place. I just think she's better going shorter than she is going 2 turns.
Can you make the argument that the 6 Amandine is just a little bit dirtied up for Jeff Mullins? I mean, she was the bee's knees when she first shipped to North America, winning her first 2 starts in very impressive fashion, including steamrolling Miss Bad Behavior in the Lady Shamrock. And then Jeff Mullins did something a little odd. They wheeled her back on only 2 days rest, stretched her out 1/4 of a mile in the Grade 1 American Oaks, and she ran okay. She ran 3rd. It was a good performance. And then last time out in the Megahertz, she caught a wet turf course and kind of a weird race where there was an unfortunate breakdown on the backstretch. I wonder if you could draw lines through Amandine's most recent 2 starts, you're left with that big effort in the Lady Shamrock.
Yeah, I think that's the positive way to spin it for her. The fact that she was sort of a fresh face in Southern California. She'd only run here in the States 2 different times. There's a part of me that when they chose to run her back in the American Oaks, I said, well, this could go one of 2 ways, really. She's either just going to continue on and take to it. And look, she didn't run terribly that day. But there was just a part of me that wonders how much is taken out of her with back-to-back stakes races over the course of 3 days. She comes back with that megahertz. You're right. There were some circumstances that perhaps led to that poor effort. But I have to be honest, she's the kind of horse. I want her to prove to me that she still is in that form that she was when she won that Lady Shamrock. And that quick turnaround didn't take something out of her.
English Dancer has won 5 out of her last 7 races for both trainers Bill Mott, recently for Richard Baltas. I thought she had a nice easy trip, close to the pace last time out, and a non-winners of 2 other than. We've already seen the pace projector. It is expected to be fast. English Dancer, if she is close to that pace, she might be lacking in the stamina department, because chasing Fahan Mura, reeling her in and holding off some quality closers, that's going to be a tough task for a mare that's been byering in the low 80s.
Yeah, for me, it really just boils down to the fact that she's just a little bit slow on paper. I mean, look, she likes to go out there. She wins races, no question about it, but she's just a little slow on figs.
The key to this race, in my opinion, is Elizia's World, who sold for $500,000 at the Keeneland November 2018 sale and has now been transferred from Chad Brown to Richard Baltas. She is a multiple graded stakes winner, and she is going to get the pace she needs, you would think, in this spot. She underperformed last time out in the EP Taylor, but I don't think she likes good or soft going at all. And 2 starts back in the Violet Stakes, while that was a field she had to beat, she did it nicely. I wonder if she needs a little bit more ground than the mile, and if this is just a starting off point.
Yeah, mile might be a little bit sharp, and there is a part of me that looks at it and says, at the end of the day, she's Elizia's World. She's never been my favorite, but I can understand going into Southern California. They've done this one other time. You can't hold that Bobby Frankel against her simply because there was no pace that day. They walked the dog on the front end. She wasn't able to come and get all the ground. I do look at it and say, you know what, if this pace heats up, I wouldn't be surprised at all if she came with a bid. But again, for me, it boils down to the number. 4 to 1 is just too light.
I see all these ones on Vasilika's PPs, and it confuses me. I believe she's won 11 of 13, or last 13, and last time out in the Megahertz, she beat 3 of these foes. She got a very nice ride from Flavien Prat, avoiding a little bit of the trouble on the backstretch, 4 wide bid on the far turn, and then just a solid enough finish at this 1 mile distance. If you give her some pace. She's 8 for 9 at Santa Anita. She's won 14 lifetime starts, and she's simply the one to beat.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot else for me to add here. I think she moves forward second off the bench. She has the ability to lay a little bit closer if the pace is moderate, but it looks like it's going to be fast, so she can come from farther out. This mile isn't an issue for her. She's in good form. She's beaten a number of these common foes already. 8 to 5, obviously it's not an appetizing price, but at the end of the day, she's the most likely winner.
Matt Chu's a really underrated trainer in Southern California, and he removed the blinkers for Streak of Luck, and probably some folks question that because she had recently won a couple of races with blinkers on. The blinkers were off. This mare responded with a very nice, solid win, but a win that's a little bit too slow to contend with these top contenders. Maybe a fast and contentious pace sets things up and she can get a piece.
I like her. I think she's on as she shows up. She runs. I agree with you about Matt Chu. I think he's a very good trainer. But again, she's just one of those horses that, with the exception of that autumn missed 3 starts back, she looks a little bit slow. And even that day, she was no match for Ms. Bad Behavior, who we've made clear she's probably more of an underneath horse than a win contender.
Top pick time for the Grade 2 Buena Vista Stakes. We both like Vasilika in here. She's 8 to 5 on the morning line. She's probably not going to be a great price. How would you play this race?
To be honest with you, I'd probably just sit back and watch, because I do think the 2 shorter prices in this race are the ones that are going to take the beating. And I have to be honest, I think Vasilika ends up going off closer to odds on, or 4 to 5. I went with her over Elysia's World. I went 9-8-2-4. It's an uninteresting set of numbers there, but I think this is a relatively formful run.
While I respect Elysia's World, maybe she'll be a little bit short off the bench. Vasilika is going to be my top pick. Maybe I'll hook her up with the 5, the 2, and the 3 in single race exotics for our DRFBets Saturday race of the day. Again, you can play the card and the race with a DRFBets account, and when you sign up, you can double your action. DRFBets, ready, set, bet. Approximate post time for the Grade 2 Buena Vista on Saturday, 7:20 Eastern. Best of luck.